The town was filled with the sweet smell of damp earth and new leaves. Kay, Gerda, and Fintan worked together, helping the townspeople plant new gardens. Fintan's breezes kept the seeds from blowing away, and Kay used his magic to give each tiny sprout a perfect drop of cool water. But as the sun climbed higher, a strange chill slithered through the warm air. The chill grew colder. Delicate flower petals that had just opened began to curl and droop, edged with a surprising frost. Kay felt a shiver that had nothing to do with the cold. It was a whisper in his mind, like the crackle of a frozen lake, calling his name. It felt like his own magic, but bigger, older, and much, much colder. "Are you all right?" Gerda asked, touching his arm. Kay jumped. He had been so lost in the icy whisper that he hadn't heard her. "I'm fine," he said, but his voice was quiet and distant. He kept looking towards the northern mountains, as if waiting for someone. Fintan felt it too. His happy, warm breezes were being bullied by a sharp, biting wind that smelled of snow and stars. "Something is wrong," he chirped, zipping into the sky. "The wind doesn't feel right." He flew higher and higher, trying to find the source of the cold. Then he saw it. Soaring through the blue sky from the north was a sleigh made of glittering ice. It was pulled by 6 white reindeer with antlers like frozen branches. And driving the sleigh was a tall, beautiful woman in a gown of pure white snow. The sleigh landed silently in the town square. The moment its runners touched the cobblestones, a wave of frost spread outwards, freezing the puddles and coating the new green leaves in a layer of white. The woman stepped out of the sleigh. She was regal and beautiful, but her eyes were as cold and sharp as ice. She ignored everyone else and looked straight at Kay. "You," she said, and her voice was the sound of wind over a glacier. "You have the gift of winter, but you use it like a child playing with fire. Your power is messy." The whisper in Kay's head grew louder. It was her voice. "Come with me," it said. "I will teach you true control." He felt a strong pull to step forward, to join her. But Gerda grabbed his hand, her own hand warm and real. "Kay, no," she cried. "Don't listen." The Snow Queen laughed, a sound like shattering icicles. "Warmth makes you weak," she said to Kay. "Power is what matters." She flicked her wrist, and a perfect, shimmering icebird appeared on her fingertip. It sang a note so clear and cold, it made Kay's teeth ache. "This is what you could do," she whispered. Suddenly, a gust of wind shot between them. Fintan landed protectively in front of his friends. "His magic isn't weak," the wind boy shouted. "It's strong because of his friends." Kay looked from the perfect icebird to Gerda's frightened face and Fintan's brave stance. The Snow Queen offered him power, but his friends offered him warmth. He had to choose. Kay squeezed Gerda's hand, the warmth spreading up his arm like sunshine. He looked at the Snow Queen's perfect icebird, then at Fintan's brave, worried face. "Your magic is beautiful," Kay said to the Queen, his voice clear and strong. "But my magic is strong because of my friends. I choose them." The Snow Queen's face did not change, but the icebird on her finger suddenly shattered into 1,000 tiny, sharp pieces of frost. "You choose weakness," she said, and her voice was the sound of ice cracking deep underground. "You choose to be small when you could be magnificent." She raised one elegant hand, and a furious blizzard erupted in the town square. The wind howled like a hungry wolf, and sharp ice crystals whipped through the air. "I will show you the power you are refusing," she declared, her voice booming over the storm. The bitter cold tried to creep into Kay's heart again, but he held on to Gerda's warmth. He thought of summer picnics and his friends' easy laughter. He pushed back against the cold with his own magic, but this time it felt different. It was a warm magic, melting the snowflakes before they could even touch him and Gerda. High above, Fintan grinned. "My turn," he shouted into the wind. He dove through the air, gathering all the happy, warm breezes he could find. He spun them together into a powerful gust that smelled of spring flowers and sun-drenched earth. Finton's warm wind crashed into the Snow Queen's blizzard. For a moment, the two forces battled in the center of the square, a whirlwind of gold and blue, of flower petals and ice shards. The air crackled with their opposing magic. Slowly, the warmth began to win. The howling of the blizzard softened, and the storm began to shrink. The thick frost on the cobblestones cracked and melted into puddles, and the frozen leaves on the trees thawed, dripping water onto the ground below. The Snow Queen lowered her hand. Her storm was gone. She looked at Kai, not with anger, but with a strange, thoughtful coldness. "The heart of winter is not so easily warmed," she said. "When you are ready to learn what true power is, find me in the north." She gave him one last, piercing look, then stepped gracefully into her ice sleigh. Without a sound, the 6 white reindeer pulled it into the air. The sleigh soared away, a glittering speck against the blue sky, heading towards the distant northern mountains. The town square was quiet again. The sun felt warm on their faces. Kai, Gerda, and Fintan stood together, watching the spot where the sleigh had vanished. They had faced the Snow Queen and won, but they all knew this was not the end. It was only the beginning. The town square was quiet. The sun felt warm on their faces. The scary blizzard was gone, replaced by the gentle drip, drip, drip of melting ice. Doors creaked open, and people peeked out, their faces full of wonder. Did we do that?" Gerda whispered, looking at Kai. Finton floated down to the ground, his wings drooping just a little. "That was a lot of wind," he puffed, grinning. "I think I need a nap." Kai laughed, a real, warm laugh that chased away the last of the ice in his heart. "Let's go home," he said. As they walked towards the edge of town, people came out of their houses to thank them. A baker gave them warm, sweet-smelling bread. A weaver gave them soft, woolen cloaks. "Thank you," they all said. "You brought the warmth back." The journey back was very different. The world was waking up from its long, icy sleep. Little green shoots poked through the melting snow, and the river, which had been frozen solid, now gurgled and flowed freely. "She said to find her in the north," Kai said quietly, looking at the distant mountains. "She talked about true power." Gerda squeezed his hand. "The truest power is right here," she said, tapping his chest right over his heart. "It's the power to love your friends." Finton, who was flying circles above them, swooped down. "Gerda's right," he chirped. "A cold wind can break branches, but a warm breeze helps flowers bloom. Which one do you think is stronger?" Kai smiled. Finton was right. After many days of walking, they climbed one last hill, and there it was. Below them, nestled in the valley, was their own town. Smoke curled from the chimneys of their little houses, promising warmth and safety. They ran the rest of the way. When they reached the little house with the rose bushes, the door flew open. Grandmother stood there, her face wrinkled with worry and love. She pulled them both into a hug that smelled like baking cookies and warm wool. "Oh, my children," she cried, "you're home." Inside, a fire crackled in the fireplace. They sat on the soft rug, with Finton perched on the mantelpiece, and told grandmother everything. They told her about the long journey, the ice palace, and the Snow Queen's cold magic. That night, tucked in their warm beds, Kai and Gerda looked out the window. The stars were bright and clear, like tiny chips of ice in the dark sky. The Snow Queen was still out there, far to the north. But they were not afraid. Whatever came next, they would face it together. For now, they were home.